Yo, let's talk about YSL Little Woody. This dude's journey is something else. From the gritty streets to the bright lights, his story is a wild ride. Kenneth Copeland is his government name, but to the streets, he's Woody, a name that rings bells in Atlanta. This ain't no story about redemption. This is about the streets, the music, and the courtroom drama. It's raw, it's real, and it's unfiltered. Born on July 25, 1991, Woody grew up in Mechanicsville, Atlanta, Georgia, in the Zone 3 trenches. Both his parents died at a young age and was angry at the world. He lived that life, the kind of life that shapes you, molds you, and sometimes breaks you. But people liked having Woody around because he was down to ride for his friends and asked no questions. People were still scared of him because he was ready to crash out. Woody wasn't just another face in the crowd though. He had that hunger, that drive. He was destined for something bigger. He started rapping about what he knew. The streets, the struggle, the hustle. His lyrics were a reflection of his reality, a mirror to his soul. He dropped tracks like Slime Life and Dirty Soda. People felt that. His music was more than just beats and rhymes. It was a voice for the voiceless, a cry from the streets. He was on his way. But the streets don't let go easily. The same streets that raised him, that inspired his music, were also pulling him back, trying to drag him down. Woody's story, it's a cautionary tale. A reminder that the streets ain't loyal and fame is fleeting. It's a story of ambition, of dreams, and of the harsh lessons that come with chasing them. So remember, while the spotlight shines bright, the shadows are always lurking. 2018, that's when the trouble really started. Woody got popped for 2 gun charges. On October 22, 2018, Woody was sentenced to federal prison for illegally possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. The incident occurred at the Dunbar Recreational Center Gymnasium in Atlanta's Mechanicsville neighborhood, where he brought an assault rifle despite about 20 people, including children, being present. Woody left the weapon on the bleachers and joined a basketball game. A concerned citizen called 911, leading to his arrest and conviction. Woody had a history of multiple prior felony convictions. The streets were calling him back. The streets, and the life that came with them. See, the thing about the streets is, they never forget. They always come knocking. And for Woody, that knock came with a vengeance a few years later. Fast forward to 2021, the year when everything started to unravel for YSL. Woody was arrested in Fulton County during a traffic stop where a weapon was found in his possession. As a convicted felon, he faced up to 10 years in prison for having the weapon. However, during a 3-hour interrogation, Woody provided detectives with information about several past and upcoming crimes. Prosecutors stated that Woody's attorney, John Melnick, asked them to stop communicating with his client. Woody was granted case immunity, meaning his testimony couldn't be used against him for any of his 11 previous convictions. Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, responded to Woody's arrest by filing a motion for a mistrial. Fulton County Chief Assistant District Attorney Adrienne Love opposed the motion, arguing that Melnick had warned Woody the state would hammer him if he testified. Judge Glanville ultimately denied Steele's motion for a mistrial. The feds were building a case, a RICO case, the kind that takes years of meticulous planning and gathering of evidence. They were determined to bring down what they saw as a criminal enterprise, and they had their sights set on Young Thug and his crew, YSL. The group had gained notoriety not just for their music, but for their alleged involvement in various criminal activities. Woody, a key member of YSL, got caught up in the sweep. Facing serious time, the pressure was mounting, the charges were severe, and the evidence against him was overwhelming. He's been telling for 12 years, however he has told an incredible amount of lies which, although rare, it has worked in his favor because they can't trust anything he has said, both truth and lie. It's all a bit confusing because it's hard to tell what is real and what isn't. He built the RICO with his snitching, but he is also the downfall because they were relying on him to be honest and he's backed out of the deal. Young Thug's highly publicized gang trial in Atlanta took a big turn with courtroom tension and emotional moments. A key prosecution witness, Woody, was arrested on the stand and held in contempt of court. Before the jury entered, Woody's lawyer, John Melnick, stated that his client did not want to testify and planned to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights. Melnick emphasized that Copeland had repeatedly told the district attorney's office he did not wish to cooperate. Fulton County Chief Superior Court Judge Ural Glanville informed Woody that he was under a court order granting him immunity, meaning his testimony could not be used against him. The judge warned that refusing to testify could result in contempt charges and jail time. After a lunch break, Woody took the stand in front of the jury. However, when prosecutors asked his age, he refused to answer directly, saying, "I'm grown, I'm an adult." When pressed for his exact age, he invoked the Fifth Amendment. At that point, Judge Glanville ordered his arrest and had him taken into custody. There was a day they were talking about how he was wanting to smoke Thug because he thought they wanted to smoke him. He seems to be very much a lone wolf, but respected because he really will smoke or unlive someone, but he made a choice that would change everything. Sitting in his cell, Woody had a lot to think about. The weight of the potential sentence loomed over him like a dark cloud. He flipped, turned state's witness. It was a decision that didn't come easy, but in the end he saw it as his only way out. Became the star witness in the biggest RICO trial Atlanta had ever seen. His testimony was crucial. Woody didn't have a plea deal. He was legally mandated to attend court. They then gave him immunity so he couldn't plead the Fifth. He legally had to testify, or they threatened him with jail time for contempt of court until the case was over for everyone. He admitted a lot of stuff while he had immunity, but he explained to lessen the blow and effect on Thug. He ran them round in circles and over-explained stuff to confuse the jury. Now some people say he did it for himself, to save his own skin. The streets were buzzing with opinions and social media was ablaze with debates about his motives. Whatever his reasons, one thing's for sure, Woody was about to blow the case wide open. His cooperation would lead to a cascade of events that no one could have predicted, shaking the foundations of the criminal underworld in Atlanta. The courtroom became a stage. The jury, his audience, and Woody, he was ready for his close-up. He knew his testimony could make or break the case. He talked about life in YSL, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He talked about Thug, painted a picture of a leader, a kingpin. But the streets, they got a way of following you, even into the courtroom. And Woody's past, it was about to catch up with him. Courtroom chaos. Woody, he wasn't your typical witness. He was unpredictable, emotional. One minute he's calm, collected, the next he's losing it. He went on tangents, told stories that had nothing to do with the case, even started rapping on the stand. Woody told the state prosecutor to move back because he smells something, and started coughing and putting his shirt over his nose, insisting that she stank. The judge, the lawyers, they didn't know what to do with him. And then there was that catchphrase, I don't recall. It became his thing, his way of saying he was keeping it real. But it also made people question, was he telling the whole truth or just his version of it? The state versus YSL Woody, accusations and cross-examination. Thug's lawyers, they weren't buying it. They came at Woody hard, tried to discredit him, paint him as a liar, a clout chaser. They brought up his past, his lies, his inconsistencies. They questioned his motives, asked if he was trying to get a record deal out of all this. They even accused him of being involved in a murder from years ago. The murder of Donovan "Nut" Thomas Jr. Murder on his mind, the ghost of Nut, and Woody's alleged involvement. The tension in the courtroom was thick. You could cut it with a knife. The murders for SB and Yak because Woody had given enough doubt that it was them, and that it was actually either Woody or Threat who killed Nut. Woody denied everything, said he had nothing to do with Nut's death, but me and Threat shot up Rich Homie Quan Daddy Barber Shop. I don't know what happened with Threat and Rich Homie Quan, but I'm gonna ride with my brother. They was beefing. We pulled up and did that. And I was ready, had them choppas on deck. But the doubt lingered. The streets were talking. And the rumors, they were swirling. The truth, it was buried somewhere in the lies, somewhere in the drama, somewhere in the tangled web of YSL. Life after testimony, controversy, and uncertain future. Woody's testimony, it shook things up, put a spotlight on YSL, on the streets, on the justice system. He became a controversial figure. Some people praised him for speaking out, others called him a snitch, a traitor. But through it all, Woody, he kept pushing. I do believe he wouldn't mind someone trying him so he can smoke or unlive them in self-defense to keep his image up that he doesn't play. He dropped tracks called Chirac, and I don't recall after his testimony and now getting paid off YouTube and other social media platforms, used his newfound notoriety to fuel his career. The trial, it's still ongoing, the jury's still out. But one thing's for sure, YSL Woody, he's left his mark, for better or for worse.